Welcome back again. This time we're going to perform this exercise, how to fix cells using the F4 function, how to fix or give absolute value. So you will understand when I open the file. So let's see, let's open the second exercise here. It says how to freeze cells using F4. This file is composed of 3 exercises here at the bottom. We have 3 sheets. With this, we're going to learn how the F4 function works. All the keyboards have the functions on the upper part of the keyboards in a laptop, from F1 until F12. Most of them, basically all of them have these keys, but sometimes you can see that are some cases that don't have. It's very uncommon, but we are going to use the function with the function. So here we have some codes, here we have some items, and here there are these amounts of these items and the unit price of these items. Here we have a subtotal, the discount. The discount will be 5% of the subtotal, as you already see here. It's 5%, and we have the tax, a made-up tax, and that is 7%, and the total. And we're going to obtain all this from here. Before starting, I would like to explain this. Usually, most people call it a database, but this is only a table that is composed of rows and columns. Each of them represents a register. Each column is a tab, which represents amounts, totals, and so on. Each of these cells in Excel is known as a field. But I say that again, this is not a database, this is just a table. A table of design when we'll have some changes. But right now, this is just merely a table. But first of all, what I'm going to do is just locate myself here in the subtotal, and I'm going to multiply this 10 by 50. And active equal. Then select the first cell, which is in D6, by E6. So this is like saying 10 by 50. And the range will be this. Just click enter, and then I got the result. Let's make a zoom in. And now I drag downwards. And automatically I will have the results of my registers. And then 500, and the multiplication of the other ones is, and so on. So we're going to make the sum of all these quantities, or just locate the mouse here and click on Autosum. And then you can see that the range that will be summed up will start from the beginning until the last one. And now I have this result, so I drag from this little point that I have here with this double-sided arrow, and here I can drag all this formula and it will repeat on the second and the third one. This is not ready yet. So let's see, the discount. The discount will be of 5%, but now we're going to make a calculation. So we're going to just remember how it's equal 5% by, or maybe it's just 0.5. But now I am doing it this way. In this case, I got it from the subtotal and just press enter. So the 5% of 500 is 25. So I drag it down, and again I got error the results. But if I would like to change the percentage, I could get back to this cell, and now I would like to have it only the 15%, and now I drag it down and to make an auto calculation. So that's why I created here this small table in the upper part where I have the percentage already. So if I want to change it here, from here, and so the result will change. So I just click on equal. I don't type the 5% by. What I'm going to do is just 0.05 no. So what I'm going to do is just selecting the cell where is located this percentage here up, which is G2 cell, but I need to apply a method of keys that will be F4, the F4 function. In some computers or maybe in a laptop, some particular brands as Lenovo or HP are using function key that is at the bottom of the keyboard. Then you press that key plus F4. But for my case, I just type it F4 function. So you see that these little symbols that have the dollar symbol means that in this column and this row is getting fixed or encouraged, also known in Excel term as absolute value. So what you have to do is freeze, fix, and enter. So I add by, and I just click on the amount where I want to obtain the discount, and then just press enter. But what is the idea of getting fixed? The idea is when I do the autofill like I'm doing right now, it automatically is going to calculate everything. But the good thing, if I'm going to change the 15% into 15%, everything will change. What will happen if I don't fix it? I just delete it again, and I'm going to type again the formula. I select the cell. I'm not going to fix it, so I just press the key by, and I'm just selecting 500. So just click enter, and it says 25. Well, the first one is correct, but what happens if I drag downwards? You see what happens. There are some higher amounts, there are some values, and some errors. Then I should see why. It's because this G2 cell is corresponding to the other one. The first one, it's okay. Let's see the second one. Here is just pointing out G3, the 7%, and it's adding the 7% of 3,584. And if we go next, what happens? If it's going to G4, but this G4 cell is empty and it has zero result. And here I have a value of error. Why? Because I never fixed it in the G2 cell. It changed when I dragged downwards this result, and the other one it was using the other rows and also including the headings. But if I wanted to get it fixed or freeze, then the value, the absolute value, that's why I use the F4 function. So how can I do? I just locate the cursor between G and 2. So I just there, and with F4 it's fixed, and now enter, then I drag downwards and I fix the problem. So the 5% discount is already calculated. So you see how they are noticed. You see again, if you want to verify, you will have it. You should never fix the variable column, in this case in the F column. but it will change. So we should only fix the percentage that is indicated in that cell appropriated. And so everything will change because I'm getting the 5% of this amount. So let's go to repeat it with the taxes. And what I do is just press key, equal key. I select the G4 or just press F4 by, and then just select the 500 cell. So that's how I get this 36.25%. So just double click and now you see both cells are selected. So I drag downwards and I again get all the results from these cells, the 7%. So if I want to make some changes here, I just added, for instance, 27 and all the amounts we're going to change. So let's get the total. The total is the sum of the subtotal plus the minus the discount plus the taxes. So it just type in 500, selecting 500 minus the discount, select that cell, plus the taxes, and then enter. So 560 is a simple formula. So when you are going to do it, it's very simple because I am multiplying and making a deduction. And can I add brackets here? Yes, we can do that. And we can add it to close. And here what I'm saying to Excel, do a subtraction here and then add a multiplication. But this is not necessary when you're using direct operators as deductions or sums. So now just apply some formats. So here, all the rest we need to use currencies, or maybe also the billiard sign. And then I open here at the from above, and now I change it into the currency, the dollar currency. But if you would like to change and you take out some decimal points, just leave it in one decimal or take it out, all of them. But all these totals, I'm going to add just one decimal point. So here I developed all the first exercise. Now let's go to second sheet. Here we have this. In the upper part we have a small table where we have the family allowance of 3.40%, an incentive of 10.23, and an increase of 14.80. This is a pre-salary payroll. And here we have base salary that what they earn per month, and what they are requesting me is to obtain the family allowance with incentive, with the increase, and with the total. So this is a pre-payroll before taking it into the main payroll. So let's suppose that you are supervisor for HR and you are in charge of to obtain the calculations of these columns. And the total is where you're going to give to accounting department. So let's go to do the sum of all this, and just remember, let's go to Autosum. And also I'm going to apply the currency. I select the currency here and I delete in the decimals. When I apply the currency, all the next columns are going to adopt the same currency. Now we'll see that later. So let's go to see the family allowance. Equal, I select on the cell where is located the family allowance, in this case the C3 of 3.40%. I fix it with F4. It's important to have it fixed with F4, and then click Buy with the asterisk. And then I'm going to select the cell of the value that where I'm going to obtain the 3.40%. Here this cell shouldn't be fixed. Why? Because it's variable. Because when I will do the autofill, it has to change from 1600 to 1100 and so on. So then I automatically obtain the result. Remember, see, now you can remember that there is a currency symbol included. And now I drag it downwards, and now I obtain the 3.40% of each of these values in this column. So let's go to select this one. I'm going to select it from the auto calculation and move it to the right, and I obtain quickly the total sum of this column. In addition to all what they earn in this payroll check, I know they are 12 because in the lower part it says that it's counting 12 cells. So these are 12 employees that are supervised. This is the total amount of the payroll, and this is just what we have to pay in addition for them. And we're going to get the incentive. As in the first case, we're going to do it in a very similar way. We start with equal sign, we just select the value, or you can start with the base salary too, select C12, then by, and in the upper part I just select 10.23%, and here in the upper part I select 10.23%, but don't forget to have it fixed, and just press F4. So I get the result, and then I do the autofill. But instead of dragging downwards, what I can do is just place here this little point. You can see that the cursor of Excel is a cross, it's a white cross. When I get to the autofill or auto calculation, it just becomes a very tiny black cross. And then I make a double click and everything is copied downwards. You can do it when you have a very big data file, but if it's very short, you can drag it downwards because it was a small amount like previous exercises that we've been doing. But here we're going to work with the increase, and then press equal. I select here the 14.80%. I just fix it with F4, and I multiply it by the base salary, in this case 1,600. Just select the first one, always the first row, and then enter, and then automatically I obtain the percentage of 1,600, which is 14.80%. And now here you have it. And all this I need to do the calculation of Autosum. You can select 4 cells, so up to here, and just click on Autosum, or maybe here and just Autosum. The function detects automatically the 4 cells because it has only numbers, so that's why it selects this. And I obtain the total sum. Double click and then it's filled automatically. If I want to change the percentages, here in this case I'm going to give it 4.50. Everything changes. You see how the column changes, and also this one too. And maybe the incentive is not it is right now 9.7, so everything will change here downwards, so the total will also change. And the increase is of 11.80, and also it raises, and also the total raises. So that's how we strengthened how to use the function of F4. So now let's move to next exercise. And here we're going to make a zoom in. And here we're going to continue with percentage, but in a different way. So we have here 2 amounts, amount 1 and amount 2. And we're going to do an autosum of all these columns. And you see how easily we can work with autosum. And then I drag it from this small point to calculate all the other cells. And now I have this amount. What did they need from these columns? They wanted to obtain the difference from this one minus this one. You see the difference is very clear. 1000 minus 750. But the formula then would be as simple as like this. I select 1000 minus, remember that this is not like the sum function. So in Excel, there's no deduction function. So I just select the second cell, and then I'm going to do the calculation of B5 minus C5, and then enter. That's how I get 250. I just do the double click and obtain the difference. This is the difference between one amount and the other amount. So I obtain the result from that. If I already have the differences between amounts or the money that I have here, now I want to know how much this is in percentage. Sometimes it is good to have it because at the company maybe they are going to request you to obtain the percentage. So now you will learn why do I have to use the brackets and select into B5 cell, and I do the deduction of C5. Then I close the brackets and then I divide it into the last cell, which is C5, and then just click here 750. Why? Because I am locating parentheses, because I have to explain Excel. You need to do a deduction of these cells, but what you are going to do is using this another cell, and now I have the result. What is 0.3333? Now I move it downwards and automatically I have the percentage, the difference in percentages. If you don't want to see it with all those decimals, you can do it this way too. Just select, and from here in the upper part, we just delete those percentages. Now you see how they can change. You can add some decimals or rest some decimals. Well, from here, this is how we can estimate the percentages with two different amounts. There is another way, there is another procedure how to obtain the deductions. So I'm just going to add an additional column. I select the column F, I'm going to insert, I just copy this and I place it from here, difference between percentages, and I'm going to apply 2. And the other one will be the difference in two percentages of 1. So this is a second procedure. I just locate here, say equal again. And here I have another additional column. I'm now going to copy this heading. I will add here difference 2, and the other ones will be difference in percentage number 1. So I have one procedure. This is the second procedure. Click on here. I just type equal, open brackets, and now I'm going to select the first amount. I'm going to divide it into the second amount. All this division, all this operation, I just close it with the brackets, divided B5 into C5 minus 1. It's a method how to obtain the percentage. Enter and I obtain just the same, and it's because it's a copy. When I insert this one, the format is also already inserted. and see that is just precisely the same. And this case is negative. Why? Because this number is minus. So I have the percentage also is negative. Now you see the formulas are just the same. So remember, how can we have a refresh, which is the formula text, and I select where I want to choose it, and I just close it here and I enter. So this is how I obtain the formula without searching for it. So I just drag it here, and then I have visible all the formulas. Now I can, if I delete it, it's recognizing it as an error. So I recover it with Control C. And now here I have deduction, and then that's how I can get it. And now I didn't create any formula. These are just values that are generated here. But that's how you can obtain the difference of one value against another value. This is a difference between money, but this is a difference in percentages. When I drag in here, the design is damaged. Then no problem, you can get closer to any of them and just go to this room and then click on here, format painter, and here just drag it here. I click on this brush and it just disappear again the formula, and if I repeat it again, here it's copied with the copy of the prior format. But no problem, then you can select it, go up and just have it here again. Well, now see, we have the general percentage of amount 1. I will explain you this. That is very interesting. For example, all these amounts have different value, but I want to represent these ones by their percentage, knowing that it's 100%, 100%. But I would like to know how much is represented in each of these cells. But I will know how much is the weight of each of them in reference to the percentage, and taking as a reference this one. So I want to do all for this column. And this will be for amount 1 and for amount 2. So we can do it in that way. I select this amount, 1000, and I'm going to divide it into the last one, which is the total sum of 15,000 and more. But I just select F4, remember the function of F4 to fix the column. But then I just click on enter, and you see I have a percentage in decimals. Then I want to change it with this button. I drag it down and I obtain the weight of each of these cells, because now at the bottom you have the 100%, but I wanted to see this symbol, to use it to have it in a round number. If I just can add 1 decimal or 2 decimals. And now let's analyze. This is 100%, it belongs to this 15,643, and this is the weight that each of these cells represents. All the sum of all them represents the 100%. And here this is also included in the status bar. And now this 1000 represents, each of these represents this percentage. So all these values are represented in percentage. So just repeat it again, click here, equal, and just select the first value, and then I'm going to divide it into the last value, that is would be, oh, sorry, here this will be the second value. It's 750 into divided into 10,516, and then I obtain it, and then I do the double click, and then it's selected everything, and then I add the percentage, and I just add one decimal, and I center it. So I just locate here, I copy the format, and I have it here the same format, and here you have everything solved. What happens if I don't fix this cell? I'm going to delete it again. Equal, select this amount. I'm going to divide it into this the final total sum. So I have it this in the first one, but if I go to autofill, you see that there's this error. Why? Because I didn't fix it with the use of F4. I'm going to repeat it again. C equal C5 divided into C20 and fix it with F4, and I have my values represented and fix it here. So that's how I can use the percentages. And now I can copy also. I drag it here to see very visible the formulas. How did I do it using this formula? How did I obtain each of these using these cells and these formulas? So I just leave it in this way. Just remember, if you want to practice again, just save it in a file, save as. I'm going to save it here, save as in browse, and I save it in resources. And now here at the end, remember to add finished, and then save. And that's it. Close. And now this file is saved in resources. But if I open up again in exercise number 2, it's ready to practice from scratch. And now with these exercises, we can keep practicing. Now let's get to the third exercise, how to use percentages. So now I open up this file, and this time I have 2 sheets. In the first one we have 3 tables. What this is all about, now let's make a zoom in to see it clearly. And here I have some items, some names of items, here some products, and here I have some values, and here it's requesting me the percentages. So here I will change it, the product, into Control B, and copy. And these are the values of these products. For instance, here we have some shirts, jeans, shoes, dresses, and here are the prices. Maybe it's the amount. But here what we're going to obtain is the percentages of these values. And here we are going to obtain the percentages, and here we're going to add the percentages of the values that we have here, and we are going to subtract the percentages of these values. So I'm going to explain it clearly. For instance, here we have one value that is 1,000. We want to add the currency. I'm going to select all of them. So I'm using the Control key. Select the first one from the 1 and to the bottom, and pressing Control key, select the other one and the third one. Then I just release Control. So we need to practice this one. So I'm going to add the currency sign, and here is the currency, and take out the decimal points. And here for this 1,000 I'm going to obtain the percentage. Let's suppose 22%. So I just obtain the 22%. If I don't have the percentage written here, I have to add it manually. And then click enter. So this the 22% of 1000 is 222. 220. And now that's how I obtain this value. And also I'm going to add the currency. I'm going to take out the decimals. Or if you want to add one decimal or take out. And then what I'm going to add here is to increase in this percentage. So how is that to add or to sum a percentage? If I have 1000 and I want to add a percentage, it would be 1220. But I don't want to take it out again. I just want to make it automatically this addition. So we do is equal, select this cell first, and for this cell I'm going to add, I'm going to type plus, open brackets, and now I just add the percentage 22% by 1000. I close brackets, and what I'm doing here is, what I'm saying is G3 to 1000 sum the 22% of 1000. In these brackets I obtained the 222%, that is 222. So the result of this, you're going to add 1000, and then when I enter I obtain 1220, and I do it in between brackets because I'm using a multiplication operation. When the operators are sum and deductions, it's not necessary to add brackets, but when you are using multiplications or divisions, then you need to add the brackets because the results will be different. So just double click, so you are adding here directly without obtaining the percentage of the 22% for each of them. Remember, this is directly. This goes direct without any brackets, but here is just you are adding the percentage. For instance, I want to take out the 18% and everything is changed. For instance, I can obtain the 15%. And now again double click and everything changes. Well, we'll give it here. Remember, it was 15% and here it was 22%. And now let's continue with another one. Let's continue with another percentage here. Again, equal. And then I select again 1000, but this time it's not addition, it's a subtraction. So I type minus, open brackets, and I repeat the formula. So it's 22% by the value of 1000, all in brackets. And now what I'm doing, just the same, but instead of adding, I'm deducting. So I'm taking out the 22% of 1000. I know that I'm going to obtain 220, but in this 220, you are going to subtract the K3 value. So the total will be 780. And then double click and you quickly obtain the results for the other cells. I can vary the percentage here also, for instance 18%, and this will be the minus result. So I can change it as I like, or I will need to obtain different percentage results. But I'm here using a deduction. I choose the currency, take out the decimals, or just leave one, and here also I apply the currency. I with just one decimal here. And now you have different percentages. Just to make a summary, here I am obtaining the percentage, the 22%. Here I'm adding a percentage. I left it with the 15%, and here I'm subtracting a percentage with the 19%. Just to remember how did I do it. Remember, I type here formula text and just select the set where I want to obtain it, and repeat it in the same way. Formula text equal formula text. I select the cell and enter. And here again, equal formula text. If you notice, I'm just typing in the formula, but I have to do it here. I'm sorry, I have to select where did I get in this formula. So it goes directly to enter. And here now let's go to the second sheet. And here we have an increase and reduction of sales per month of products. And here we have the products of coffee, rice, sugar, and milk. Here we have the prices obtained during January. And here the prices of each of these products. For instance, milk 3.50, sugar 3.10, and so on. And we have all the prices of each one. Now what they are asking me is to obtain the prices for each month and the total average per year. So here the upper part we have this in green, the increase. For instance, here it says that in March increased 2%, in April 13%, in June 2.5%. So have it throughout the year, all these increases. But also here it's saying that there was a reduction in February, 7.5%, and also happened this in May, in July, in October, and on December. So here we're going to use percentages also, the function F4. Let's start first with the January. So equal, and this amount that I have here, I just selected. So there was a reduction. So this is a minus. Yeah, so I open brackets. So I just do the same. So it's this cell. I fix it with F4. So have it fix it by the amount, which is the cell C8. But since I can't do it again because the formula doesn't allow me, so just type C8 and then close brackets. With this, I obtain how much is the reduction obtained in February. This coffee in January, the price was 12, and now in February is 11.10. So I drag it down and I can obtain the prices for each product. In March, there was an increase. So here I obtained with this formula, say equal C8 plus, and then open brackets because I'm going to start with another operation. So I select the 2%, I fix it with F4. Remember that I do it with this autofill. And then I can't select the cell when I type D8 and then close brackets and enter. Remember, I'm doing it with the previous month, not with January. If the price in February was 11.1, in March it increased 2% in relation to February. All this format I established then previously before starting doing these exercises. The increase are in green and the reductions are in red. So that's how you notice the differences. So if I notice, you see these are centered, and that's why I can select the previous cell. So just take out this margin in this alignment in cell C. For instance, here I just type in equal. This is an increase, so I select this previous month, and this I'm going to add because it was an increase. And open brackets and just select in this 13%, and then I fix it with F4, the function F4 by, and select in the amount. Now I can select this cell because I took out the alignment in the center. So now if in March the coffee was at 12.2, in April it had an increase of 13%, so now it's at 13.8. So we can do it for each month. So just here is a reduction, so this cell I add minus, then open brackets, so just select the percentage, fix it with function F4, then by selecting the previous month amount, and here I have it that the price decreased. And here again the other one I'm going to add how much, then I open the 2.5%, I fix it with F4, and then by, and select the cell where I'm going to obtain the percentage, that is H8, and then again let's continue with the next one. Here it's equal H8, and in this case it will be a deduction. A deduction obtained from this percentage. Then I multiply by this amount, and then there was a decrease of 12.8%. And also with August, in August I'm going to add because there was an increase of 3%. Then I open in brackets the 3% is fixed with F4. I'm going to multiply it by 8. And then I obtain the price of August. Double click and then obtain the rest. In September there was also another increase. Then I add the plus. I open brackets with the 17% of this amount, and then close brackets and enter. But what happened here? See, since I made a mistake, I forget to fix it. So that's why I have to type it again, because I'm doing many at the same time. That's why I forgot it. But here we have that with just one formula I can drag everything, but since we need to practice it, here I'm going to do a minus. Just select the percentage, fix it with the function F4, then by, select the cell, close brackets and enter. So I have it from 15.4, I have it now in October 15.0. And now for November I'm going to add the 18%. So I fix it by and select this cell here and close the brackets. So now it tells me that in December this amount had a decrease of 2%. So it's a minus, open brackets, fix in the cell, and then again I obtain immediately the December amount. So you can see how it was the decrease and increase of these products throughout the year. And now it's asking me for the average. But how it's asking me how was the average throughout the year. And now I open equal average. Here double click and select all the area where I want to have obtain this average from January until December, and close brackets and enter. Then do double click and obtain for the other products. This is the price, the average price independently of the prices per month. But here, let's suppose this was the previous year, but the average was between 13.9, independently of how was it going per month. But here you can see we're going to change the color here. For instance, we can add a fill in color blue, and the font will be in white. And here also I can add the currency. Maybe you can leave it in with 1 decimal or 2 decimals. And here I have all the values. So here I practice this one, the percentages, how to add the percentages and subtracting percentages. Practice with this exercise, you already know. Save it with the proper name, and just save it as examine browsing here, and as always just add with finished and save it. So here it's already saved, and obviously the other one is all solved. So these are the finished one, and the third one is empty, to keep practicing again.